Now on CoastTV News.
Keeping bikes and scooters off the sidewalk in Ocean City, when Ocean City could make that want a law. BB's plans to expand in Millsboro, what key step is on the town council's agenda this week? Cars crash into the woods. What else firefighters in the Millsboro area encountered?
We're dry right now, but we have some scattered showers that's going to push through our region in the early morning hours before you have to go to work in the morning.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Keeping bikes in the bike lane. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf. Thank you for staying up with us after Sunday night football. In early October, the state of Maryland changed a rule that now allows bikes and scooters to ride on sidewalks across the state. But Ocean City is taking a different approach, proposing its own ordinance to keep riders off of the sidewalk. CoastTV News reporter Kevin Zappé shows us what rules could be in place as soon as Monday night.
John Fisher and his friends love to ride their bikes in Ocean City, but they try to avoid a coastal highway at all costs.
And it's actually a lot more dangerous to be out on Coastal Highway and on those streets because there's people that are distracted, they're on their phones and everything.
On Monday, the Ocean City Council will consider an ordinance that would require bikes and scooters to stay off the sidewalks and use the road. The state of Maryland previously had a similar rule, but changes earlier in October removed it from state law. So now the town is looking to implement its own regulations, something Fisher disagrees with.
In the off season, other times of the year, I think I don't really think that should be such a thing. We should be able to ride where we want.
According to the council, keeping these modes of transportation on the sidewalk would cause conflicts with people walking, safety issues at busy intersections, and an increased risk of crossing against signals. According to the proposed Ocean City ordinance, not only will bikes and scooters have to stay off the sidewalks, but skateboards and roller skates will have to stay on the road to get around town. And if riders choose to use back roads instead, some say even that can be challenging.
When they're building huge hotels that block the alleys, it makes it impossible. So you're stuck riding on an 8-lane highway.
The Ocean City Council will hold its second and final reading of the proposed ordinance tomorrow, and if it passes, these rules will officially take effect in town. I'm Kevin Zappé, Ocean City, CoastTV News.
The Ocean City Council meets at 6 p.m. on Monday. BB is getting closer to its expansion in Millsboro. The healthcare organization has plans for an emergency room and a walk-in clinic on Route 113 and Hardscrabble Road. According to the Millsboro Town Council meeting, an agenda item for Monday night refers to BB signing a conditional use for that property.
I think it's a great thing for the community. I know there's a very big shortage on doctors. People are waiting up to 6 months to get into the doctor's office across many professions.
Millsboro Town Council meets on this proposal 7 p.m. on Monday. Also at Millsboro Council, a resolution to add a 4-way stop sign here at Delaware Avenue and Laurel Road. Cars running into the woods. This was what Indian River firefighters say they encountered Saturday on Route 24 east of Millsboro. Firefighters say one of the car's drivers wasn't there when they got on scene. Police are investigating that. Firefighters say the other driver declined medical treatment. This just in, Salisbury police say a man is dead after an officer-involved shooting. Salisbury police say officers were involved in that shooting on Jefferson Street Sunday. They say one man is dead, no officers hurt though. Maryland State Police and Maryland's Attorney General will be investigating. Plans to build the Cool Spring Crossing development on 637 acres on Route 9 and Cool Spring Road in the Milton-Harbison area are in front of Sussex County Council on Tuesday. The idea is a massive mixed-use development with more than 1,900 housing units spread across 7 villages, a YMCA, stores, a hotel, and more. 4 ordinances would be required to make that happen, including amending the future land use map. That's a map that carries the force of law when it comes to land use decisions. Those ordinances are in front of Sussex County Council Tuesday at 12. Also in front of Sussex County Council is the closure of the record of the Belmead Farm proposal. A developer wants to turn 39 acres on Route 24 into apartments and businesses. As a decision remains to be made, Brandon Ferguson breaks down the project for us.
Stables now, maybe apartments and businesses later. That's what Belmead LLC wants to do with this piece of land. Those with the project say it will offer much needed affordable housing and has gotten support from nonprofits.
The Sussex County Land Use Application Docket is a place where all documents live in relation to a possible rezoning like the one here at Belmead. There's also a place where you can comment if you're for, neutral, or opposed to a possible change like this one. For the Belmead project, 297 comments were left. Out of those 297, 294 opposed the project, with only 2 neutral to it and 1 for it.
Judy Rose Seibert, spokesperson for the Route 24 Alliance, says it's simple why County Council should deny this.
Belmead is requesting a change of zone to C4, and they do not meet the minimum district requirements, 2 of them, for a C4, and therefore the County Council must deny them.
People that live in the Saddle Ridge development right across from Belmead say it's the increase in traffic that could come that's on the top of their mind. The applicant says the location is ideal for development with schools and a newly constructed police station nearby. The applicants have a plan and neighbors have questions. For CoastTV News, I'm Brandon Ferguson.
Sussex County Council had a public hearing on Belmead September 16th. And again, this week is just for staff to announce the closure of the record. So to be clear, according to the agenda, it's highly unlikely, if not certain, that any decision will be made on Belmead on Tuesday. On Monday, Lewes City Council will have a public hearing to consider possible uses for the New Road farm field, including planting hundreds of trees. The property on New Road is city-owned land. One idea is to plant 436 trees on 20 acres, creating a new forest. The field has not been farmed since 2023, and city documents show the farmer is not returning. A public hearing on this forest idea and how much it might cost is Monday at 5:30 in Lewes. We have an article that breaks this all down right now on CoastTV.com. The town of Fenwick Island is mourning its longtime former mayor. According to the town's Facebook, Peg Bonchak was 91 when she died. The town says she was mayor from 1995 to 2003 and was known for being a land preservation advocate. Fenwick officials say Bonchak will be laid to rest November 5th. Monday morning on Coast TV News, Dunkin' Donuts closer one step coming into Milton. The key part of the process, though, is happening on Monday. And then coming up Monday evening, an Easton pastor speaks out exclusively to Telemundo Delmarva and Coast TV after being detained by ICE. The 3-part story with twists and turns hard to describe tomorrow evening on Coast TV News.
And it's not a question as to if it's going to rain Monday morning, but rather when. I'll show you what I'm tracking coming up.
And after that, driving for help as the government shutdown continues, how people are showing up and fighting back as SNAP benefits run out in several states. Don't go anywhere. We're back in just 60 seconds.
So we have a promise of rain that's going to hit a little bit later on. I mean, early morning hours, a little later in the morning is what I'm basically saying. But I don't expect for the rain to stick around for the entire Monday. Possibly by the afternoon, most of it should be out of the way. But the morning commute is going to be a bit on the messy side for Monday. Now, in Milford right now, we are holding in the 40s there. Now, we do have some blustery conditions we're expecting most of this work week. It'll be today and possibly, and to really lean into it for Wednesday, but I'll show you the tracking of the wind in a moment. But right now, we do have an active small craft advisory that's in effect until Tuesday evening. Now, that's from Lewes Beach, Rehoboth, down to Ocean View, down towards Fenwick Island, bracing for about 25-mile-per-hour wind. Not just there, though. Also, it's inclusive of Ocean City, all the way down towards Chincoteague, and even on the other side of the peninsula, throughout the Chesapeake Bay area. For the folks that view us in Cambridge, look for blustery conditions along the beaches there as well. Now, you see it picking up on a little bit of faint rain that's coming in out of south. I want to widen the scope here because, see, this is how it looked from earlier this evening. We still have high pressure that's protecting us, but this influence here is fading out of influence, okay? Fading, weakening, okay? It's going to open the door for this rain to come stepping up from our south into our neck of the woods, and that's where the rain's going to come from. So overnight, we'll be in the 40s, but we will have some rain with the winds mainly pushing out of the east. Now, here's a more detailed analysis. By 1:30, we're looking for the light rain to take over Sussex, and then moderate showers down towards the Salisbury area. By 4:30 in the morning, that's when we're looking for embedded thunderstorms to rumble through. We may actually hear a rumble of lightning briefly, okay? But heavier downpours. But you'll notice as we get into the early morning hours, 8 o'clock, we begin to see this taper off, and then by the mid-morning, we start seeing pulling it out of the way. And around lunchtime, most of us will still have cloudy skies, but the rain should begin to taper off for the majority of us. Now, how much rain are we talking about? Not a whole lot. I'm just being honest. So I ran the numbers lately, and we're talking about less than a half an inch with those 3 main locations. So I opened the door. So, well, what about everybody, all right? So when I look at everybody, pretty consistent with about 1/3 of an inch of rain, I'm feeling pretty confident that we're going to be at about 1/3 of an inch of rain, mainly in the morning. So morning showers with temperatures in the low 60s. That's what we're expecting throughout Sussex. Cambridge, 61 degrees there as well. Everybody's pretty uniform here. No, my maps are not broken too, because we're looking at 63 here, 61 everywhere else. We're going to be so cloudy that sunshine will be that limited. And even as you take a look at detail along the coast, you'll notice everybody's looking for rain and winds out of the east. But once again, we're talking about morning rain up to about lunchtime, maybe late lunch, then it should get out of here. Here's a different model indicating that same situation. And then we see by 12:30 it begins to break up, and then by 7 o'clock we're clear overnight. Tuesday, we start off in the 40s, and then we go into near 60 degrees, but cloud cover will thicken up by Tuesday afternoon. The winds, that's the next concern that we have, because the winds are going to be really racing. For example, Monday, about 30-mile-per-hour winds, and then as we go into Wednesday, which is another day I'm expecting for the winds to really pick up momentum, but they'll be coming out of the southwest by then, and that'll set us up for a little more in the way of moisture. So quickly for tonight, 45 overnight, rain building for tonight with the winds at about 6 to 8 miles per hour. Then for tomorrow, showers early, then clearing by the afternoon. And then for Tuesday, sunny start and a bit of a clear finish. Here's a look at your extended forecast. I want you to know, when we take a look at the 10-day forecast, when it comes up, there's something I need you to keep in mind, and it means bringing out your winter coat.
Thank you, Paul. Open enrollment through the Affordable Care Act has begun, but Americans may be shocked by the prices for 2026. Insurers are charging a lot more, and that number could skyrocket for low-income families if lawmakers don't extend federal subsidies that cut their costs. Jen Sullivan explains just how much more you could be paying for health insurance.
The government shutdown is now in its second month. At the center of the battle on Capitol Hill, healthcare subsidies that make insurance more affordable for millions of Americans. Those tax breaks, though, are set to expire. Democrats want to see them extended.
Ripping healthcare away from millions of Americans is unpopular.
More than 24 million people have health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. And roughly 92% of enrollees receive federal tax credits to help lower their monthly costs. Renewing the subsidies would cost $35 billion every year for the next 10 years. Many Republicans say they won't negotiate the subsidies question until enough Democrats approve a spending bill to reopen the government.
Get this thing open. We have shown in good faith that we will do the appropriations process.
Regardless of subsidies, the cost of health insurance through the Affordable Care Act will jump. KFF, a nonprofit focused on health policy, recently looked at monthly costs for healthcare coverage and found ACA insurers are raising premiums by roughly 26% next year. But if you take away subsidies on top of the increases, the costs will be even higher.
We're expecting that on average, premium payments are going to more than double. That's a 114% increase.
KFF says average monthly premium costs could go from $888 to as much as $1,904 in 2026.
I have people who are sitting at home in Massachusetts right now looking at their new healthcare premiums and trying to decide between healthcare and rent.
Federal tax credits are set to expire at the end of the year. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
It's not just health care, it's food stamps also caught in the crosshairs. Dozens of folks spent Saturday afternoon in Newark protesting about SNAP funds being withheld during the government shutdown. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to figure out how to fund SNAP even during the shutdown. Some aren't convinced the president will follow through and are protesting, hoping to make noise and a difference.
Well, there are millions of families around the country that depend on SNAP benefits. We want to make sure that children, the elderly, and our other vulnerable neighbors are able to eat and have food on the table and don't have to go hungry.
Delaware and Maryland did fund SNAP with emergency funds through the month of November. Food banks in both states say they're anticipating an uptick in need as the shutdown continues. Take a look at this. Crews investigating after a 500-pound propane tank exploded on the railroad tracks in Bear, that's in northern Delaware. Those with Newcastle County said the explosion, which caused a fire, involved railroad maintenance equipment and damaged several buildings. Still to come on Coast TV News, these two people fighting to represent the eastern shore of Virginia. We break down the big races and other political decisions affecting Delmarva next. You are looking at shots of Chincoteague, Virginia, the little piece of paradise on Delmarva and the eastern shore of Virginia, famous for its pony swim. But this week, the state of Virginia is making national news, first for a history-making election, and second, as Sarah Chuckles shows us, for amending the Virginia Constitution to allow for redistricting in the future.
Are we telling Virginia voters that 66% of you who supported and voted for the commission, that their representatives have changed their minds now because it's convenient for them to do so?
Senate Republicans speaking out against H.J. 6007, the constitutional amendment brought forward by Democrats that gives the General Assembly power to redraw congressional maps ahead of the 2026 midterm election during a non-census year. Republicans say it's against the will of the people who voted in favor of establishing a redistricting commission 5 years ago. But Democrats argue when voters made that choice, they couldn't have foreseen the current state of the federal government and overreaching power from the White House. After hours of debate, with both sides laying out their cases for and against, the amendment passed the majority Democratic state Senate by a vote of 21-16. But there are still several more steps needed before redistricting happens.
We'll see what happens in other states and whether the courts stop the partisan gerrymanders that have happened in Texas, Missouri, today Ohio, North Carolina. We'll have to see where things stand in 3 months. Right now we're kind of in a wait and see mode. We had to start this process today or else we wouldn't even have the option in January. That's why we did this week.
Virginia currently has a 6-5 Democratic majority in Congress, but this effort aims to secure a few more seats in the Dems' favor, a movement to counter similar efforts in red states.
Next up, the Virginia General Assembly will need to pass it again in January, and then it can go for the voters for final approval in a special election, likely in April. Virginia is making history as voters head to the polls Tuesday to elect the state's first woman governor. Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears and Democratic U.S. Representative Abigail Spanberger are competing to replace term-limited Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin. Those on the Eastern Shore will also decide who will represent them in the 100th District. That covers Accomack County and as far south as parts of Virginia Beach. Longtime Republican delegate Rob Bloxham Jr. is being challenged by Liz Richardson, a chaplain. In Virginia, again, that election is Tuesday. Polls open 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. This comes after weeks of early voting. Stacking food in a DART bus, when you can help in this unique food drive, up next on Coast TV News. DART, the public transit organization in Delaware, kicks off its annual Stuff the Bus Thanksgiving food drive on Monday. You can drop off non-perishable food donations at Giant Food on Lighthouse Plaza in Rehoboth from 9 to 4 on Monday. It's all part of the effort to collect 15,000 pounds of food for Delaware families in need. Several stores and companies are ramping up seasonal hiring. Right now, it's hard to gauge how the labor market is doing because unemployment numbers are not being released during the government shutdown. But many companies have already announced they're adding thousands of temporary jobs. Others are scaling back. In our Consumer Watch, Jen Sullivan looks at who's hiring and how to land a job.
Holiday hiring is ramping up. Many companies have added thousands of seasonal jobs, but it also comes at a time when many of the same companies are also announcing steep layoffs.
We've certainly seen organizations taking a little bit more of a measured approach as to hiring right now.
Dawn Fay with recruiting firm Robert Half says the good news is seasonal jobs can provide some benefits and may turn into full-time jobs after the holidays.
you're earning compensation, you're building your resume, you're learning skills, you're getting professional individuals, you're adding to your network and getting references as well too.
Target says last year, more than half of their seasonal hires were offered the chance to stay on after the holidays. The retail giant recently announced they're adding seasonal jobs, but didn't specify how many. The news, though, comes as the company announced it's cutting 1,800 corporate jobs. Amazon also announced mass corporate layoffs this week, but the company says they're still hiring 250,000 people for the busy shopping season. The U.S. Postal Service is adding 14,000 seasonal jobs, which sounds like a lot, but it's far less than the 40,000 just a few years ago. Faye says these seasonal jobs aren't just in the retail space.
There's a lot of customer service opportunities. There's a lot of IT opportunities. We see across companies and industries a lot of opportunities in the accounting and finance space.
So how do you find these jobs?
When you're looking for these opportunities, to do job searches on words such as seasonality, temporary.
Faye also recommends job seekers consider contract work. Many companies hire temporary workers for projects this time of year. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
After the break here on Coast TV News, as we take a live look into Rehoboth Beach, a final check on your forecast when Coast TV continues in just a few moments.
Ultimately, we are expecting a good chance of scattered showers throughout the early morning hours, well, later tonight, early morning hours, just before sunrise, and then continuing throughout the morning commute. But right now, we're relatively dry, but it's starting to change as we speak, believe it or not. We're starting to see some rain that's creeping in from the south. Quick reminders, small craft advisory is in effect along the shoreline, so we're concerned for about 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That's from Lewes all the way down to Chincoteague, and on the other side of the peninsula as well for Cambridge, Andrews, and the areas on the other side. So it's just going to be breezy in general for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, as we demonstrated with our earlier forecast. But we're looking for showers on Monday, for example, in Chincoteague, sunny on Wednesday. But for Assateague, we're looking for rain on Monday, then windy conditions on Wednesday. It's still going to be a little bit breezy for us on Tuesday as well. We move up towards Ocean City, scattered showers on Monday and a high of 60 degrees, then 59, then 64. Look for rain for us actually in Lewes as well as Rehoboth. Temperatures in the lower 60s, both locations. And then we're going to dry out for Tuesday, and then we become really dry on Wednesday because the winds are going to pick up. By the way, you can keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalas, and Federico. Now, earlier in the newscast, I talked about the 10-day forecast being something I need you to watch out for. So, you ready? Watch out. Here we go. This week is not a problem. We're going to stay breezy all week long. And then as we go into Thursday, we're looking for a high of 59 degrees. Here's what I need you to keep in mind, period. And I'm making a pause on purpose for emphasis. Not this week, but you see this next Monday? You see this next Monday? You see that 34, that 39? We're talking about beyond cold. We're talking freezing, Maddie.
Thank you, Paul. Kind of an interesting story here. In an era when young Americans are facing what's called a crisis of connection, NBC's Ryan Chandler shows us Dallas's newest young social media star looking for answers and even helping others find love.
What a beautiful day. Take a stroll down Dallas's Katy Trail.
Hey, I have a question. Are you single?
And your cardio may turn into a heart-to-heart.
He's taken.
Elsbeth Wempe is trying to get to the bottom of Gen Z's dating woes.
Oh, awesome. When was the last time you kissed a girl?
It's been a minute.
When was the last time you went on a date?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Have you ever ghosted a girl?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Candid conversations like that have earned her millions of views.
What's your line?
My line is, hey, I'm a dating journalist.
As she tries to help young people search for a spark that seems harder than ever to find.
It's so bad right now. The dating culture, I think a lot of people are distracted by the apps, social media, comparison culture, and need help searching for themselves.
What are the biggest complaints you hear from people about modern dating?
People ghost, people do not commit, they kind of just treat others like trash.
The youngest Americans are facing a crisis of connection. About 2/3 of Gen Z and millennials say they're lonely, many yearning for community outside of a screen.
It rings true in my friend group and in a broader social sense. Folks are getting
married later, having children later.
And more than 3/4 of Gen Z and millennials say they're burnt out by the dating apps.
Are you on the dating apps?
No.
No, not at all.
I hate the dating apps.
Many say people disappoint them, or they just can't find a good connection.
What do you think it says about how people feel about dating nowadays that they connect so much with your page?
Because I'm catching people in the raw moment, sweaty, on the trail, in nature, in their element.
And that authenticity, that vulnerability is what's missing.
Yes.
But I'll be honest, I tried to put myself in her subject's shoes.
Cheers?
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is
And
hilarious.
it's harder than it seems.
When was the last time you went on a date?
Oh gosh. No comment. No. I'm used to asking the questions around here.
Okay.
But for all her questions, the answer may be inside ourselves.
What you think about yourself is a reflection of who's a match for you. If you're very focused on yourself, then the sky's the limit.
Hey, here's some other good news for you. Volunteer handlers did a test run Saturday in New Jersey ahead of the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Of course, you could see all of those balloons on the parade day, Thanksgiving, 8:30 a.m. Eastern, only here on Coast TV. Thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News after Sunday Night Football. For more news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app. We'll see you in just a few hours for Coast TV News today, starting at 5. Have a great night.